Hello, and welcome back to some more totally accurate RuneScape battle simulator. Today the Barrows brothers have decided that they want to get their fire cape, so they're doing the fire caves. Let's start her up. Our bat didn't stand a chance. And they are just absolutely racing through these early waves. So, while they do that, I'd just first like to say, big thanks to everyone who's been checking out this series. It's been really blowing up recently, which is a first for me. So thank you all for that. I hope I can keep it entertaining. So today I've added the fire caves with all the waves in their correct orders. So this will just keep going. Yeah, they're dying pretty quickly. So gosh, so many changes to talk about while they go through all these. So yeah, death animations have been sped up a bit. That's a small change so that this doesn't take forever. So what changes have we got? Occasionally you will see the purple plus hit splats appear. That shows up anytime any monster heals. The most common, of course, there we go, Varrock just did it. If they regen HP from their natural regeneration, which is once every 100 ticks or once a minute. You'll also see it on Guthan if his special effect procs. You'll see him get the purple heal spot. And later on, when these guys show up, they're able to heal themselves and others. What other things have we got? Lots of behind the scene things that you won't see here. Lots of bug fixes and extra things I can do. Man, they are just racing through these. That's him. See, he just went to heal himself. That's how that looks. But unfortunately, not enough to keep him alive. You'll see lots of 1 damage hit splats appearing when the big lava boys show up. Something you might not know if you've never done melee in the fight caves, they actually have recoil damage on them. If you ever hit them with a melee attack, then you take 1 damage. Doesn't matter how much damage it deals, you just take 1 damage. But of course, if you're safe spotting them or hitting them with ranged or magic, then you'd never really see it. Just a little thing. So yeah, there you go. Had to add that. Yeah, he's healing. But he's dead now. It's not enough to save him. Wave 21 already. Although, to be fair, when you do the fight caves, normally the early waves do go by pretty quickly. So yeah, when you see that Arim ghost head pop out, there it is again, that shows when Arim's special effect is activated, which drains strength by a certain number of levels. And that stacks, so if he keeps doing it and it keeps proccing, he can drain the strength quite a lot. Then you'll see that it does actually lower the max hit of the monster that it's been done on. Though they probably won't live long enough for you to see it much. All the Barrows brothers do have their special effects in the simulator, except Torag and Arim, because Carol. Torag's reduces run energy and Carol's reduces agility, so both of those are completely worthless. But the rest are all in place. Arim can drain strength, Guthan can heal, Darok can do more damage, and Varrock will have 20 guaranteed hits 25% of the time. But there's no visual indicator for Varrock's, just like in game, and there isn't one for Darok's either. But I've tested it, and I promise it does work. But something I didn't know, I found out from making this, the melee Barrows brothers have no accuracy bonuses on their melee attacks. They've got 100 attack, 100 strength, and big defensive bonuses in like the 270 range, but no aggressive bonuses on their accuracy. They do have strength bonuses, but no accuracy bonuses. Arim and Carol have accuracy bonuses, but the melee brothers don't, which makes them actually pretty inaccurate in general, especially against each other. If you watch the Barrows Royale that I posted earlier, you'll see that when it gets down to 2 melee brothers, it takes forever for one of them to die, because they have really high defenses but really low attack. Which I was surprised at, because whenever I've been doing Barrows myself, if I prayer accidentally drops, they always, almost always hit me. But I think that's because most of the time when we're doing barrows, we have our mage gear on, which has like really low defenses, so it kind of makes sense. But now we start to see the first Ketzak, which is usually when things start to get a lot harder for people. You can see Arim's taking some fat damage now. Uh-oh. Yeah, if they don't kill yeah, there goes Arim. I had a sneaking suspicion this would happen. As soon as we start getting to the Ketzaks, everything falls apart. They're able to hit like 45s with magic. Obviously the Barrows brothers are all weak to magic, except Arim. Will they at least... Oh, they killed one. But yeah, they're not going to survive much longer. Oh dear. Losing all their group hardcore Iron Man lives. Yeah, it's not looking good for them. I think they'll soon be gone. Go on, Derek. Oh, 37? No. Oh dear. This, wave 32, I think that was. Barrows brothers aren't getting their fire cape today. Should have trained their prayer more. Okay, and we're back again. So now we have the Calphite Queen, who's going to try and get a fire cape. Let's try again. And so this doesn't take forever. I added a new thing. We can change how fast the simulation runs. So if you look in the top left, you can see the tick length in seconds. So normally it's 0.6. I put it down to 0.3. So now it's the exact same thing, but it's running at double speed. It does kind of break the animations a bit though. So you will sometimes see things. Sometimes the animations won't work as they should. But other than that, everything else works fine. And it's a good thing I turned the audio down, because otherwise it can be a bit deafening. Yeah, so now we've got Calphite Queen absolutely destroying. She will go to her second phase when she dies. The mechanics have all been put in place. The only things that are missing from her is the ability for the attacks to be AoE. So normally... So I didn't even know this was a thing until I read it on the weekend. Her mage attacks bounce between targets, and her range attacks have area of effect damage, which I didn't know because I've never fought her in a team before. I've only ever soloed her. I didn't put them in because there's no concept of distance or tiles in the simulator yet. It would make things come down to arbitrary positioning, like where I just had randomly decided to put them, or where the sim would randomly spawn them. You'll see, like, it doesn't matter where in the room they are, they can always melee each other. I just haven't got around to it. Maybe I'll put it in at some point. I've got some big ideas for where I can take this sim, but for now, there's no AoE effects and there's no range or distance. Yeah. Oh, and so interesting things about Calphite Queen. Her protection prayers that you see are a lie. I didn't know this either. It's like, it says here that she's protected from magic and ranged, but she can actually take magic and ranged damage. She just has increased defenses against them. Oh. Somebody's got the zoomies. That's an example of one of the broken animations I was talking about. Well, that looks funny. That happens when it's due to a bug with the tick length. Because it's running too fast, it can't quite figure out what it's supposed to do. Oh dear. Well, he'll be dead in a minute. You're making me look bad. Yes. Anyway, so her... yeah. I was thinking if I put the speed up so it doesn't take forever. Well, if they start rotating, you'll just have to live with it. At least it looks funny. Anyway, what was I saying? Calphite Queen prayers, yes. So she just has increased defenses. So the wiki has it at plus 100, which is pretty high. I would have thought it would have been more, but maybe that's all it is. So some people do actually kill Calphite Queen just using one attack style the whole way through, because as long as you're accurate enough, it doesn't actually matter. something I'll try at some point in the actual game. But yes, so we can see she's actually almost dead. I guess that makes sense because most of them most of the damage at the minute is going to be melee damage, so she's able to take that as normal. There she goes, she's dead now. On to our second phase. And she hasn't even reached the Ketzex yet, so it's not looking good for her either. She's doing worse than the Barrows brothers, which I really thought she would do better. Yeah, other interesting facts about KQ, she has a range level of 1. And so normally that would mean that she can't hit very high, but someone in the code has hard programmed her to be able to hit 31s. And of course her magic and range attack are 100% accurate. They never miss, although they are able to roll a 0. They have a 1 in 32 chance of hitting 0. You know, because once an attack has rolled to hit, if it hits, it then has to roll again for damage, and that starts at 0. So you're able to hit and still miss. You know, every monster is able to do that, and you as well. You can hit and roll a 0, which, you know, feels a bit lame. So that's the only time that her range or magic attacks will do 0. Well, she's not doing very well. She's on half HP in her second phase already. And I have a feeling once it gets to the Ketzex, she's going to have a very similar fate to the Barrows brothers. If you see the healers turn to face their allies, that means that they're going in for a heal. There's not really any animation for it, but you can see the heal splats, which hopefully is enough to let you know what's going on. Oh dear. Well, at least the Ketzak can enjoy his new dragon pickaxe. Seems like I need to come up with a monster that can get past the Ketzex. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so if the fight caves are proving to be very powerful, we just need to bring in someone who's completely overpowered. So, who better than Kriara? That bat survived 3 hits, which is actually quite impressive. And just like before, we will speed things up so that it doesn't take forever. Of course, Kriara gets to bring his minions in because... Cool. I'll allow it. But it's interesting to see, even though these monsters, for us to fight, are incredibly strong. Well, KQ's reasonably strong. When it comes to this, they struggle really hard. But I think it's just the nature of the challenge is that it's designed for players who have an inventory full of sharks or other food and potions and prayers to negate, you know, most of the damage. So when it comes to fighting monsters, fighting each other, mechanics that are designed to be fought by players become kind of overpowered. But the fact that Kriara has attacks that hit all enemies in the room is, you know, pretty powerful. But now we've reached the first Kenzek. Let's slow it down a little bit so we don't miss all the action. I was about to say 2, but all 3 of the minions have died now. It's definitely going to be up to Kriara for this one. But yes, mechanics that are designed for players to avoid kind of fall apart a bit when it comes to being fought by monsters who can't avoid them. 67, Kriara's nuts. So a lot of people have been asking for me to add, you know, a lot of different things to the simulator, and I appreciate that. I really do like the amount of interest everyone's having in it and the amount of suggestions I get. But so, for example, Vorkath comes up a lot as a suggestion. And Vorkath's mechanics, you know, his normal attacks, you know, ranged, magic, melee, they're whatever. But then it's like his special attacks, his acid phase, his instant kill dragonfire attack, and his freeze phase, as well as his prayer switching off attack. The venom one I can do. I haven't programmed poison or venom in yet, but I will add them at some point. That's simple enough. But his other ones, it's like... Excuse me. Sorry, I just had a burp. I hope that didn't come off on the mic. Anyway, this is the issue with recording live. I say, oh, I'll just do a live video, and then I mess it all up. Anyway, in my rambling, I just noticed that Kriara's almost dead. Let's just slow it down to... Whoops. Oh, no. Kriara's spinning. There we go. I think I fixed it. Yeah, okay. Calm down, Kriara. No more zoomies for you. Anyway, what am I saying? There's too much action. I can't talk to myself enough. So... Yes, when it comes to adding monsters like Vorkath, I have a bit of a pickle to deal with. Like, do I add all of his special mechanics and program the other monster to avoid them? If I do that, then there's not much point adding the mechanics because the other monster just always avoids them, so they don't really add anything to the fight other than some animations and wasting time. If I don't let the monster avoid them, then they'll just be completely overpowered, you know. Vorkath's instant kill Dragonfire attack, how much damage is that able to do against a player as much as like 120? So do I let him hit the other monster for 120 every time? And Kriara's dead. RIP. Well, I'll be back in a minute to continue rambling once I find another suitable opponent. And we're back again. So, for one more challenge, I've got 200 Black Knights taking on the Fight Caves. They knew that one wouldn't be enough. So they think if they throw enough of them, they can get at least one Fire Cave. And maybe that will give them the edge against the White Knights. It's actually starting to lag a bit. Well, hopefully it doesn't mess up the recording, but once some of them start dying, I think it will it should ease some of the lag up. Sorry, I'm getting so mesmerized watching all the massive hit splats appear that I'm forgetting my train of thought from before. One thing that I'm noticing is the amount of recoil damage that they're taking from attacking the big blobs. That's probably going to be the thing that kills most of them. Oh yeah, so you'll see that they don't have any health bars above them. I turned it off on them just for now because without turning it off, their whole side is just this massive of green rectangles. It doesn't really help you tell what's going on anyway, so I just turned it off. But I did enable the alive counter at the top, so you can see there's 200 alive. None of them have died yet. I just had it off for the other ones because it wasn't very useful. He survived a single volley. That's insane. He survived the first 200 attacks. Yes, the Dark Knights have decided that they need the edge against the White Knights, and they need a Fire Cape. So if 200 of them go in, then surely one of them will come out with a Fire Cape. And then those White Knights won't know what hit them. But yes, what was I talking about before? See, for you guys, it was instant, but I did a bit of programming between then and now, and I've lost my train of thought. Oh, I was talking about adding special mechanics. That's what it was. I appreciate that some people probably just want to see the simulator and don't want to hear me ramble, but I mean, you can just mute the video if that's the case. Hopefully some people find it interesting to hear about the development process. So many hit splats, it's insane. Yeah, so the thing I was just talking about was about special mechanics. So I don't really know what the correct answer is. There's always going to be things in this, you know, save for rebuilding RuneScape from scratch, which I'm not going to do because I don't really see the point in that. We have RuneScape, there's no point in me building it again. Except for things like this to do things that we can't do in game. Save for building the whole game again, there's always going to be some problems between some discrepancies between the real thing and my simulator. I understand these waves are going quite slowly, but there's there's no way I can speed up the sim. It's gonna make it lag even harder. Rip. Rip my PC as well. Hopefully it doesn't catch fire while I'm doing this. But yes, so because like one thing I wanted to do is raid bosses like from TOA, like Zebak and Akka and Baba, but there's no way I can do the for example Zebak's phase where he spits out the acid and you've got to hit the water jugs. Like there's no way I can do that, save for programming a complex AI, but then if I do that then they never fail anyway, so what's the point? So I think my basis going forward is that most of the mechanics that are designed for players to avoid, I just won't put them in. I'll just skip over them because no matter which way I add them, it's not going to be satisfying. Either they beat them every time and they're pointless, or they get hit by them every time and they're overpowered. But if anyone comes with any ideas of better ways to implement it, I'm all ears. Look at those hit splats. It's very satisfying seeing them all shoot out. It's less satisfying seeing my PC lag, but can you imagine just the absolute mess that it would be to have 200 Black Knights on your screen at once? I wonder where in game you can have naturally the most monsters on screen at once. You know, without any like spawning shenanigans from like those weird barrels in the Legends Quest cave or spamming the Barrows doors. Actually, that was something I wanted to do. If I ever had a big enough following to see what would happen, get like 100 or 500 players all in the Barrows caves and the opening and closing the same door over and over again. Because every time you open a door into the Barrows dungeon, it spawns a monster. So is there a limit to that? Would the game crash, like the world crash, if enough of them came up? Or would it just stop spawning them? Or would they go invisible? Or just some other, nonsense that we wouldn't know? It would just be funny to see what would happen. Not that I want to break the game and to dupe gold or anything, but I'd just be interested to see what would happen. Because I wonder if, they probably never thought that anyone would try and do it. Reminds me of the other day, one of the guys who's big on the RuneScape wiki wanted to find out what would happen if too many people tried to do the giant dwarf quest at once. Because there's a cutscene in that quest that actually just spawns you in a duplicate room. So there's like they've added the same room like 4 times or something, or 16 times. And each time someone does that cutscene, it just puts you in the first available duplicate room. But if none of them are available, we wasn't sure what would happen. But what it does is it just tells you like, oh, the meeting's not going on at the minute, so come back later. Nothing exciting, but it's interesting that someone on Jagex thought of that. Now I'm really going on tangents, not even talking about the simulator at all. But yeah, lots of ideas for things to do with this. Obviously, most of the time it's just been this monster versus this monster. So a fight case, I thought was a fairly interesting new addition. But I've got some other big ideas for things that we could do that are, a bit beyond just the Team A versus Team B. Not to spoil them all now, but possibly a Battle Royale mode or a Royal Rumble mode, to name a couple. Maybe some more tournaments. Who doesn't like a good tournament? And with this simulator doing so well, it made me start thinking about other simulators I could make. Like, how many times have you seen someone post loot from 200 XYZ? I could just program that, and then no one has to do it. Maybe I'd be putting all the other content creators out of business, but hey ho, it's capitalism. I could program loot simulators. I'm not sure how interesting that would be, but maybe it would save me having to do 1,000 beginner clothes myself. I could just program a simulator for it. Lots of ideas. So if anyone has any ideas of things they want to see programmed, hit me up. I'm always open to ideas. Saves me having to think of them myself. This team of 200 Black Knights is doing better than any of the previous ones we've tried. There's still 182 alive, which is pretty good. Oh, that does remind me actually of something interesting. So, if anyone's been keeping up with all the shorts, the cows versus frogs one was quite interesting. So I started with the cows and frogs. I had 50 frogs and their combat level 5, so that's 250 total combat level. So I thought, to keep it balanced, I would put in 125 cows, because then that's 250 total combat. But first of all, I found out that combat level is not a good indicator for monster strength. As anyone who does PKing knows it and builds their special accounts, the function and algorithm it uses to calculate combat level is not a good indicator of how strong something is in combat, how dangerous it is. So the cows absolutely dominated against the frogs. If I matched up combat levels exactly, the cows would without question. So I started decreasing it until I got to a point where the frogs won, and at that point I was at 85 cows. So I recorded it, I uploaded it, and then I was like, what would happen if I added? What would it take to make it a bit more balanced? So I added 5 more cows, because I was going to bring it up slowly until it was about even. But it turns out that adding just 5 more cows, taking it to 90 cows, completely tips it in the cows' favour. At 85 cows, the frogs dominate. At 90 cows, the cows dominate. And then people in the comments told me, I think it was in the comments of the Reddit post, they told me about Lancaster's Law, I think it's pronounced, or Lancaster's Law. And it's an interesting bit of maths for nerds like me who are into that, that talks about if you've got 2 armies that are fighting each other with guns, assuming that every man in that army can shoot every other man in the other army, you can do a mathematical formula to figure out roughly how many from each side will live and die. So obviously if you've got 200 versus 200, then basically everyone dies apart from the last man. But if you have 400 versus 200, you would think that 400 is twice as good as 200, but it's not. It's like the square, something like that. Basically, it's almost exponential, because as forces are lost in one side, it makes them weaker and therefore deal less damage to the other side, which means that more of them live and can then deal more damage to the other side, and it sort of compounds. So a very small change on one side can completely change the outcome of the battle. Like the amount of people that survive at the end is like massively higher. So the RuneScape Battle Simulator actually shows that quite well. Who would have thought that this silly little thing with googly eyes would have actually reflected some real world maths? But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. What wave are we on? 46. We're getting there. 155 is still alive. I'll tell you what, you're probably all getting bored of listening to me ramble about all sorts of things. I will shut up for a bit. I will speed this up in post and come back to you when it starts to get more interesting. Okay, it's not looking good for the Black Knights. They haven't reached Jad yet, and there's only 23 of them left. as with all of the contestants we've had, the Ketzeks are the biggest problem for everyone. Those huge magic hits and those huge melee hits combined with a big defense and a lot of HP, it just makes it pretty hard for them to get through it without taking a few losses every time. And there's just so many Ketzeks they have to kill that, yeah, it's really worn them down. I don't think they're going to be around much longer. But hey, at least it's reducing the lag. Thanks, Ketzek. I really hoped one of the contestants would have made it to Jad at least. Perhaps I'll add an extra bonus fight after these Black Knights die, just so we can at least see Jad once. Wave 60. But with only 5 left, their chances don't look good. Look how many bones there are. How much power XP do you think that is? Oh dear. 200 Black Knights is not enough Black Knights to get through the fight caves. The more you know. Let's see if we can find someone to fight Jad anyway. So how about the Dag Kings? We can't have a fight caves video and not show off a Jad fight. So let's see if the Dagonoth Kings can get themselves a fire cave. At least a share between them. Now there is a extra addition to Jad. There they are. We now have healers. And they actually have the ability to tag them off to stop them healing forever. Which they are displaying quite nicely. Maybe a bit too well actually. It looks like the Dagonoth Kings are probably going to win this fairly convincingly. Jad doesn't kill any of them yet. I think his attack speed is just a bit too slow. He might be able to get Supreme before he goes down. Nope. There you have it. Dagonoth Kings are superior to Jad. I think that's enough Battle Simulator for today, so thank you all for watching. Let me know what you want to see in future episodes. Subscribe for more if you're into that. And that's it. See you soon.